Squirrel, because it's really unusual for me to call somebody by his last name. It reminds me school, and I didn't like it, so it's
You may
difficult.
call me Squirrel.
Écureuil.
Yes.
Okay. Let's do it like this.
Okay.
Let's do it like this. Okay. I heard about Kenevin this morning.
You did.
So now I will try that you have the sound about écureuil for the next time, so that you can hear it.
Squirrel. No, I cannot
it's
do it.
difficult.
It
I
is.
know it. So I wanted to share with you the first feedback that I had from your session this morning as a keynote speaker at the Journée agile Écureuil. Difficult to do it. Somebody knowing me for a while, and I had talked about your book Agile Conversations for a while, because I'm using it every day, even if it's not the physical one, but I've got it in my mind. And she said to me, now I understand why you wanted me to read the book. I said,
Good.
okay, I don't know if we need more feedback. Maybe we will have further ones. I don't know if they will be as good as this one, but it was really interesting at the same time to see, yes, we had a good keynote, and at the same time now people see that I try to push it and understand a little bit better why. So
Good.
Always better with the original than with another one. But the reason why I liked your book so much and I'm using it is because I'm a board game fan. And I was looking how to use board games in my work as an agile coach. And I had an insight. Do you say that in English?
You do.
Insight by listening to your book during the COVID period, walking in my neighborhood alone. And then suddenly in the chapter with the title, which is just mind-blowing to me, TDD for people, that was just what? Only the title, but then the content. Then I realized that's exactly the inference ladder and so on. That's exactly what I'm doing when I'm playing this game.
Interesting.
And then I said, okay, let's try to do something with it. So what is special about this game is that you cannot talk, and that TDD for people is
You do know my book is called Agile Conversations,
yes,
right? Which involves talking.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. So I know we had a short discussion, and you were wondering, but how do you analyze a conversation if you do not speak?
Yes.
Okay. Then this
Now,
morning.
do you use sign language?
No
sign language. Okay.
So this morning you were talking about being an explorer. So I would like to propose you during this interview to try to explore and to ask me questions and have a discussion about what I'm trying to do.
Please.
To push your people to read your book, and not only read it, but use it on a daily basis like I'm doing for the moment.
That would be wonderful. But first you have to tell us,
Yeah.
how do you do conversations without speaking?
Yeah. The biggest difficulty that I see when I try to have people doing what's in your book is that they are not conscious that they've got an internal conversation. Okay? So they think that what they think and what they say is heard by everybody. So after a while I realized, what if I make first them conscious that they've got an internal conversation? So the game is very simple. There are only 3 actions that you can do. So let's imagine that we've got a language when there is only 3 verbs. Mm-hmm. So everybody is able to record the conversation because it's just the list of the actions that we've been doing. Okay?
So it makes it simpler to record, which is one of the big tools that I'm sure you found helpful as you were listening.
Yeah.
Which is to write down your conversation.
Yeah.
So you're making that simpler by restricting the language.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, that makes sense.
So it's easy for them to register what they've done, or in real life what they've said.
Yep.
So they've got more time to realize what they are thinking, and they've got more time to write
Now
that
I
down.
get it. Okay, well that makes lots of sense. And then what are the verbs? What can you do?
So it's a game where we have to put cards on the table in the right order for each of the different colors. So if there is one red on the table, the next one playing a card has to put 2 red. The problem is that everybody has got this card in his hands, but
No one can see them.
no, everybody can see them except the one having the cards.
Got it.
So we have to give us hints about what we have in a nice order so that we avoid mistakes, even if it's not that dramatic, because it's just a score. It's not failed if you do one mistake. But a lot of people consider they have lost as soon as they do one mistake, which is, of course, and if I think at your session this morning, it's interesting to say, where's the problem? You don't have the maximum of points. And then, okay, so let's continue playing. So I let them play at that game.
And is this a competitive game? Am I
No,
trying to get more points? Okay,
game.
good.
It's a
and
cooperative
that's the point,
game. Yeah,
is that our software development is a cooperative game.
Yeah.
It's not that when we deliver more software,
I
sales
agree.
loses.
Yeah.
Sales wins, customer service wins, operations wins. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So that's the idea. At that stage, they know nothing about your book. So I explain the rules, we play one game, and the only thing they know is about writing your conversation, but they know no more about it.
Got it.
Then we do a debrief, and then I start explaining the inference ladder and the main two levels in that workshop, which is trust and fears. The three other levels I don't speak about because I've got no time. And then I let them think about, okay, now that we know these tools, if we play a game, what would you change in your own behavior? Okay, probably you were surprised by what the others have done. It was not what you expected. Instead of debriefing with them about let's organize like this, because that makes no sense, you are not playing this game in the real life. So if you were in real life and you had to change your behavior, what would you do? So do not speak about the game, but let's play again and see if something changed. Is there something where you could feel a kind of frustration or conflict? Is it going down, going up? Can you smooth it? Yeah, basically that's it.
Got it. Okay. And the chief thing about analysis of conversations when you write them down is you're looking for mismatches between what you were thinking and what you said. And you can't tell what the other person heard. You're not allowed to write down the other person's thoughts. Now, if any of you are telepathic, please get in touch with me and Eric. We would like to work on the stock market with you. But if you are not telepathic, then you cannot write down what the other person thought. But you can write down what they, in this case, did, what action they took. So typically when I coach people in using this method of analyzing is I have them, for example, circle their question marks. And often many people, they say, okay, I will circle my question marks, and they make no marks on the paper because there are no questions. They have not asked anything. But in this game, there are no questions to the other person. None of the verbs are a question. Eric, do you have a red? That's not a question I asked.
No, but I can say to you that you have a red.
Yes.
Now, the question that you will have in your mind is when you give me a hint and I don't use it the way you expect it, then you've got a kind of internal question which is coming there. So you're right, the second game is not so much about have I asked question, but have I done what I was thinking? Okay, I was
the connection
thinking
between
about
your actions and your thinking.
So in your book, it's underlining in the left column.
Exactly. What have I
for
not
what
shared?
you have not done, and okay, you thought like this, you did something, but why do you think that what you did should lead the other one doing what you expect? And generally, it's not like this. So what happens at the end of the first game, I ask to everybody to read the story I'm telling myself. So they just pick what they have written, what I've thought, what I've said. The three of them, generally, they play 3 by 3. The three of them is saying that, and then we stop, we do a pause, and we cannot talk about the game anymore. Introduction about the content of your book, and then we play again. So I'm insisting more about the fact that what you think is not heard by the others. That's the main key point for this exercise, more than the number of questions, even if I introduce it, but you're right, it's more difficult to experiment with that specific game.
And you're just limiting it. Now I understand that. So what you're working on there, I would now, this is post the book, so I got more knowledge about this after I wrote the book with Jeffrey. You're working there on your self-talk. You're working on the narrative inside your head and trying to match that to your actions. And that's a very useful mechanism. My worry about it, and I'm sure you do this in your workshops, but if someone out there were to go and try this, I would counsel you, be sure that there is some conversation after in which people can talk and ask questions. Because what I would not want someone to do, and you do not mean this, Eric, I know this, but I would not want someone to say, I will run my company like Eric's game. What I will do is I will make sure that the customer service can never talk to the engineers, and the salespeople never talk to and because we must keep it secret so we can fix our own thinking. No, that's not it. Do not do that.
No, but you're right, and I'm insisting about that to say that I'm using, so the sentence I'm using at the beginning of the day is when you want to change the behavior of a software before putting it on production, you want a test environment. Now, if you want to change the behavior of teams or human being, where is the test environment? So my proposition for the day is using games. I insist using games, not playing games. The goal is not to improve at the game. The goal is to improve at how we think and how conscious we are about what we really say and what we only think. And that's the key point. So in that sense, I insist to say, okay, now go back to your enterprise and try to use what you have learned, but not in the way I try to push you or to block you in the game, because the intention is just that you become conscious about it. And it's just a starting point. And now please read the book. That's generally what I say.
That is very good. And if people who are watching, by the way, would like a copy of the book, I never try to sell the book. You know, I gave away a bunch today. So if people would like one, get in touch with me, douglassquirrel.com. I will send you a copy. So you do not have to buy it.
Okay.
Don't tell my publisher I said that.
Okay.
But the thing I would encourage you to do is see what else you can do to get people thinking about how they can fix their self-talk. And I think there are probably some things that they're picking up. Maybe you do this in your sessions. But for example, if someone is saying in their head, I think I might have a red, and they don't make guesses that illustrate that, they should reflect on why they're doing that and what they could change about it. For example, you said, we're not trying for the maximum score. We aren't trying to say, never make a mistake. And that's what's happening so frequently in software teams. We talked about it this morning. You get a software team that gets a reward for finishing the sprint on time and completing all the features. Worst reward in the world. Terrible idea. Stop rewarding your teams for finishing their sprints. Because when they finish their sprints, they never make any mistakes. And it's in the mistakes that the learning comes. So I wonder if there's a way we could change the scoring, or change, maybe you are already doing this, but make it explicit to people watching, for example, who want to try this. You want mistakes. You want someone to say, I think I have a red, and then I learn from the others, I do not have a red. Hallelujah, great learning. I wanted to know that. I thought customers wanted single sign-on. They want not to memorize passwords. I put out something that says single sign-on and no one signed up. I spent 6 months, I spent millions of euros buying single sign-on and no one wanted it. They like their passwords. They like the flexibility. They like sharing passwords. Whatever it is, I have not discovered that. And I have given up on learning that I could have had in 6 minutes, not in 6 months. So, Eric, do you do something like that? Is there something we could change in your game? I want to encourage the scoring.
There is nothing to change, but I will insist more. I do it most of the time, but I will insist more. There is one rule that I've not explained, is that if you put a card which is not alone, so for example, the 1 red is on the table and you put the 3 red, that's a mistake. You can make 2 mistakes. At the 3rd mistake, the game is over and your score is 0. Okay? But what I often say to people, you still have your 2 chances. Why? Is that the goal, to have the maximum score? Or is the goal is to try to understand how the others are thinking? So what if you do something unusual and see how the other reacts? That should be what you try to experiment today, not being good at this game. But I do it already, but I will really make it a specific slide to be sure that they understand it. So that's my learning from today.
Good. Okay, happy to do that.
Okay.
Well, it's been wonderful speaking to you, and now I've learned about silent conversations. That's something I have picked up, and I can go and use that in my work. So thank you very much, Eric. I appreciate it.
If you want to experiment it with me, it's possible to do it online. We shut off the microphone, the chat, and so on, and we just play the game together and we debrief afterwards, if you've got time. I can suspect that your agenda is a bit busy. But
Oh,
if
I'm always
you feel,
happy. I always have
if
time for
you
you, Eric.
feel tempted by doing it, I would be happy to do that with you.
Well, and maybe I'll do it in my next Zoom meeting. I'll just turn off the mic and say, it's time for us to learn something together silently.